It is November 10th, 2025. Once the dollar and bond market collapse, immediate action is going to be necessary by individuals, by businesses, and by governments. Governments are going to need to immediately free economies so that people can transact and markets can work before everything is destroyed. Supply chains need to remain as well as possible. And capital is going to need to be reallocated. And so, for right now, let's assume that the government's done the right things. I just got some notification on this phone. Let's assume they've done the right things. We're free to transact. The dollar's gone. Okay. What you should do if you're an owner of metals is you should figure out which companies in your local area are vital to continue operating, such as utility companies, farms, and you should grocery stores. You should contact them and see if they need capitalization, which a lot will. Meaning they're going to need someone to put gold up that they can use to pay their operating expenses until their revenue is sufficient to cover that, because I discuss a lot of this in my book, by the way, which I wrote during peaceful times, during calm times with a calm mind. I'm just giving you a little bit right now because I believe we're approaching this point. But this book, Discourse, The Bridge to Light, it is available on Amazon, and I will leave a link below. So, yeah, each business is going to need to figure out, does it still have a function? Does it still have a need to survive? People are going to need to start businesses that match capital with need for capital. Businesses are going to need to be able to reach investors and vice versa. Part of it is this, sharing this video, letting people understand this needs to happen so that people who do own capital understand this is what they need to start doing immediately once we get this freedom which we need, which is also discussed in this book. In this book, I go through various industries, one by one: agriculture, security, utilities. I discuss how these can work and must work once this credit bubble and this currency and this government are unable to feed people, because they've been unwilling to feed people recently, but there will come a point where they become unable. And the dollar and the bond market collapsing, that's that point. So, think about businesses that you think are good businesses, that if we had sound money, they'd be fulfilling a need in your community. And talk to them about capitalization. Figure out make them an offer. Say, look, I got this much. This seems like a fair amount of fucking capital. You can pay them this. You can offer this wage to these people at this many, you know, face value silver per week. Um, and this is how I can capitalize you for 3 months. We can go through what we think what we think a wage would be that would get us good employees, and would be sufficient to keep those employees okay themselves. Um, yeah, there's going to be a lot of work, a lot of accounting work, a lot of thinking that's going to need to happen. And each business is going to have to do its own consideration. And each investor is going to have to do its own consideration. So, I have good plans. I got plans. I got companies I want to contact. I want to become a part of when they need someone to become a part of to survive because they're good companies and I want them to survive. I want their owners to survive. I want their employees to survive. Um, and I want their business to survive because I believe their business can serve the community in a vital way. Because, like I said, we need mass production. Um, we need businesses, some big businesses, you know, um, Amazon does a lot for people, even if it sucks that they've laid all these fucking people off. Um, at, at the same time, they still do employ a lot of people, and it's good that they do this. And it's good that people are able to order stuff and get it cheaper and better stuff delivered than they otherwise could if that company didn't exist. So someone is going to need to be a bidding war between people who have capital, because I'm telling you, they're going to need fucking capital. Um, they're going to need to decide, and again, getting rid of all the government shit so they can just do this without having to comply with all this bullshit. They're going to have to work out with the stock exchange they're listed on. There's certain rules. There's contracts. Those things need to be considered, and in many cases, those things should be adhered to. As a part of doing good business. Uh, and so they're going to have some restrictions in that regard. And stock exchanges, again, once the government isn't regulating all this shit, they can think about what restrictions really make sense that are going to make this a stronger stock exchange. Um, that's going to give us credibility. All these decisions can be made um, without statutory requirements that are forcing bad decisions that or suboptimal decisions. Um, so, but each company, I'm telling you, they're going to need capitalization. They're going to need capital because there's no more dollar in this scenario I'm talking about, right? So there's going to need to be a bidding war. How much? First of all, what is a fair amount of the equity to give these bidders in exchange for um, covering operating expenses for this period of time? Well, that can be bid. You know, they're going to probably take whoever's going to willing to do it for the least amount of equity, right? Um, uh, the market can make an auction, the market can uh, set a price, and this can all happen um, once we get the government out of the way. So it's going to be important to capitalize Amazon, um, major producers that produce real valuable stuff that there's a global demand for. You know, we want to capitalize these companies, big and small. So, as a owner of capital, think about, you know, look at companies, look at their balance sheets, look at what real assets, assume all the dollars have gone to zero, what real assets, what inventory, what networks, what employees do these companies have? How much are they worth to you? How much are they worth in relation to other companies? You can do all this work on your own. It's a lot of work, but if you want to fucking succeed in this new economy, this is the work you're going to want to do. Because people will be doing this work. People will be figuring out. Now, look, in the early days, it's just going to be a mad frenzy of bids and buying and market price fluctuations, because most, very, very few people, even people who own capital, when I say capital, I'm talking about assets that are liquid, that have retained value in the wake of this collapse. There's a lot of different types of assets that fit into that. The obvious asset is gold, but other precious metals serve this function. A fifth of whiskey can serve this function. A jar of copper pennies can serve this function. It ain't worth much, but it can serve it. Just want to let you know. Right now, prices, like I said, are going to fluctuate. Copper may end up getting a bid as a very liquid capital that has been used in the past. It may end up going up in relation to most assets. It might be a good thing to accumulate, but within reason. It takes up a lot of space, and there are going to be a lot of things competing against that as investments, as speculations, and as businesses. So if you do this work now and you think about what companies have real value and will have real value in this new environment we're going to be in, and assume it's fucking freedom, because it has to be. It's the fucking solution. Yeah, I go through it in this book. I go through it start to finish. I go market by market. I address all these different concerns people have brought up about, I go into air traffic control. I go into detailed, complex problems for a market to deal with, and I discuss them and I propose solutions. Yeah, there's fucking lightning in this book. In the background, there's a reason there's lightning. I'm going to read you the opening poem, and then we're done. I fell through a cloud and was laughing aloud as I felt the mist tickle my face. I soared through the skies, yelling triumphant cries and encountered a being of grace. The love that then filled me has ever since thrilled me. A longing has captured my soul. The future will greet us, and more love will meet us, and humans will then be made whole. For I have surrendered. My heart has been tendered, as helpless as infant in womb. Come join me, we'll travel, and pain will unravel, and fear will lay rest in a tomb. Yet she departed, and healing was started, but love still bloomed in the land. I duly noted my heart was devoted, and pain I did now understand. I flew asunder as lightning and thunder and torrents of rain drenched the earth. Tears from my eyes were at first a surprise, but eventually they would yield mirth. Pain, I had found, was both kind and profound, for it made me as strong as can be. Love had discovered emotions uncovered, and speaking their truth set me free. There I was on my own, with this love I'd been shown. Right over there, actually. As I studied the clouds while reciting. The being had left, and my soul was bereft, but the journey ahead seemed exciting. The being did go, and my tears they did flow, but the world was open to me. She wooed me a while, but wasn't my style, and so with another I'll be. The angels, they live, and they love as they give us courage to grow and stay strong. Another will come, and my heart will succumb, and together we'll ever belong.